was preparing for this. I hope everybody's feeling good. I hope you're ready to explore the Mantis connection. This is what I would describe as the most mysterious of the ET groups and also one of the most influential in terms of modern extraterrestrial lore and what we all understand as the hybridization program. So, before we get into the actual channeling, we're just going to go over a few of the guidelines that we have for today. So, when Ryoka's finished channeling, we're going to open up the floor to questions. So, everybody that's here, we're going to provide an opportunity for your questions to be submitted, to be asked. We have a raise hand button that's at the bottom of the screen. For me, it's under the reactions tab. I think they move it around maybe every other Zoom update, but you can find that very easily in the reactions tab. And that will let Starshine, who's our host today, that's going to let her know that you have a question for Ryoka, and she'll ask you to unmute yourself and we'll direct you to engage in your question. She'll also be able to read off the questions that are typed into the chat. So if you're a little camera shy or you have maybe a better communication style through your writing, if that's more natural to you, feel free to submit the question through writing. We do prefer the in-person kind of voice-to-voice questions because that's where more of your energy will actually be felt and experienced. So we always encourage that, but you can submit the question as well. We do encourage and we ask it of you. I don't like to put limits on people, but this is a real limit, one question per person. Very fortunately, these events are getting bigger and bigger. And I thank all of you for making that possible. We have 30 people here live. So this is one of our biggest in-person, Zoom room events. So to accommodate all the questions we're probably going to get, please just select your most important question. And if there's time, we will cycle back and then you'll have an opportunity to ask your question again once we've gotten through the other questions. So you may or may not be able to ask a second question, depends on how all of this unfolds. We really have no idea what the heck's going to happen. Even me, I'm sitting here like, cool, let's learn about the mantis beings. The most I do is a little bit of meditation. I'll look at some pictures of praying mantises, but these are events where cutting edge information is brought forth for everyone involved, including myself. And that's such a powerful group effect. And I deeply appreciate that together we're translating the galactic Akashic record and we're speaking it into the physical reality. So thank you guys for grounding that energy. Thank you for all the kindness and all the powerful reflections of joy and wisdom that you eternally emanate, whether you're aware of it or not. And it means the world to us. Star, thanks so much for being here today. It's awesome to be doing another event with you.
Of course. Hey, Tyler. Hi, everyone. We are super excited for this one. There's been a lot of interest in the mantis beings for a long time, of course. So, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but we may have one come through actually in this transmission. So I think, yeah, that should be super exciting. If you guys have any questions for the mantis specifically, feel free to, think of any questions you may have. We'll get to as many as we possibly can. But yeah, I'm super excited to be here. I really love this like little, community that we're building with these transmissions. I was super excited to wake up today and yeah, and get started. And I think so we set the clocks back like an hour and I got here an hour earlier and I was like, where is everyone? So I had to like, message Tyler like, what's going on? Is the clock like set back an hour? But yeah, I guess we're here now. So yeah, I'm super excited.
It all worked out. And yeah, I think some places adjust to daylight savings. Arizona's one of the few spots that doesn't, right? They opted out.
Yeah,
Some of it,
that's
I
why I was
believe. Yeah.
confused. I was like, what is going on? Where is everyone?
Oh, totally. Well, fortunately, we did. We pulled it off despite the temporal mathematics, which I know was a funny surprise and obstacle. Hell yeah, everybody. Let's dive in. I'll go fully into the trance, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you again for being here, making this happen. But we thank each and every single one of you for your existence and your participation in this very special co-creative transmission that we share with one another. This here, this now of our collective experience. You have just experienced on Earth your Halloween, a time where you are able to embody your shadow consciously, and a time where many of you choose to actually peer into those inner realms of darkness, those inner realms of unknown space. And when there is that eagerness to positively explore the darkness, beings whom operate in the shadows take notice. Now, remember, what you put out is what you get back. So when you explore the shadow from a place of childlike curiosity, from a place of empowerment, beings whom resonate with such frequencies, whom work in the shadows, are the ones whom take notice. So, in that sense, each and every single one of you has spirit guides whom exist within the realms of light, and you have spirit guides whom exist within the realms of darkness and shadow. There are, of course, beings whom can freely pass between, go between those two polarities. Sometimes they exist in realms of light, sometimes they exist in realms of darkness, and sometimes they exist in both simultaneously. What is it that gives such an ability? It is a vantage point, it is the expansion of perspective, it is the ability to zoom out and zoom in when needed. Remember that you possess this same ability. The only thing that seems to obfuscate that ability is the limitation of the human body and human psychology. Remember, when you're not in the human body, when you're not using human psychology, you exist as a spiritual being. The spiritual being is able to observe many realms simultaneously. That spirit level, that non physical level, contains many frequencies of consciousness, higher self, soul, spirit, oversoul. The more you zoom out and begin to embody these greater perspectives, the more of the multidimensional reality you're able to simultaneously perceive. This also allows for you to simultaneously perceive realms of light, realms of darkness when you zoom out far enough. The Mantis beings embody the oversoul perspective as incarnated beings. The Bashar has talked about the whales acting as the oversoul vehicle or symbol for the dolphins that exist. The praying mantis extraterrestrials play a very similar role. They act as an oversoul for many genetic lineages. All DNA exists first as a spiritual template. There is physical DNA. There is also etheric DNA, astral DNA, mental DNA, spiritual DNA. It goes all the way up. This is what your ancient prophets described as Jacob's ladder. Goes all the way up to the monad. Each nucleotide connection within that double helix ladder represents a new level of consciousness. And as you climb the ladder, you experience more and more and more of yourself across the many realities and the many dimensions that exist. There are beings who specialize in the densification of spiritual DNA. The mantis beings pool the spiritual genetic templates into their domain of reality, which encompasses many levels, but for them is primarily rooted in what all of you describe as the mental plane, the one just below spirit. This is the level of the oversoul, this mental plane. This is where the archetypes are stored as living programs that the incarnations of the oversoul will draw upon to contextualize their incarnational journey. So, in that way, the mantis beings not only contain the genetic story, but they contain every story. They contain the living archetypes. They impress these living archetypes upon the genetic information that is densified. And this allows for them to create very nuanced, very specific, very specialized forms of life. There are three primordials in terms of your concept of the ancient universe. You have the mantis beings, you have the reptilians, and you have what you would describe as the humanoid, human-like Anunnaki. These three groups represent the primordial trinity. The mantis, the reptilian, these represent primordial yin and yang, primordial heaven and earth, primordial mother and father. The human, which you call the Anunnaki, this form of consciousness represents the balance between. The Anunnaki, as many of you know, are hybrid beings. The human spirit densified once it entered in to this universal body. And these early expressions of the human form, as they became more evolved, as they became more sophisticated, eventually began to experiment with genetic engineering. So the Anunnaki beings that most of you are familiar with, these beings are hybrid. They possess genetic upgrades from the mantis beings. They also possess genetic alterations and upgrades from the reptilian beings. Whenever a hybridization program is created, the mantis beings are almost always sought out. And that is because they possess this genetic library and they contain the oversoul archetypal blueprints. You have the idea in your ancient texts of being created in the image and the likeness of the source. The image is the archetype. The likeness is the DNA. So they contain that creational power. In a certain sense, you can understand them as the primordial great mother. The reptilians terraform planets. They shift planetary atmospheres. They construct civilizations. That's the reptilian focus. The mantis focus, this is creating life. And of course, you, humanity, possess both of those abilities. You have clearly learned to change the surface of your planet in ways that are both positive and negative. You have also learned how to shift the genetic expression of different life forms through technology and consciousness. And this has been explored in ways that are both positive and negative. So you possess these same abilities that the primordial trinity possesses. The ancient universe was highly experimental. Darkness and light in terms of themes were explored in all types of ways that your modern society would find absolutely baffling. As the experimentation progressed, there was a revelation across the cosmos, and that was the revelation of the original self, the true self. Eventually, all that experimenting led the beings of the universe back into alignment with who and what they have always been. If you experiment enough, if you try enough new things, if you put yourself out there in enough ways, eventually you will find yourself. That's the irony. Whether you go all the way out in terms of experience or all the way in, they both ultimately lead to the exact same place. Once that recognition had been understood and embodied, a densification process began to take place. Once a being returns to the self, they experience a type of completeness. This doesn't mean absence of desire, but it means within them there is a sense of unity, there is a sense of connection. And that energy is able to expand and it's able to densify simultaneously. So, as this experimental phase reached its conclusion and beings discovered themselves once more, they began to densify their consciousnesses, thus giving rise to new stars, to new physical planets, and ultimately physical bodies that would allow for those beings who discovered themselves to form physical civilizations. Your species already possesses all of the answers, all of the knowledge, all of the information, all of the spiritual power and energy, all of the consciousness that you could ever need. It is because you already, as a people, reach that stage of completeness on a higher level that you're able to be here. That is what engendered human civilization in the first place. Do keep in mind that the Mantis story will ask of you a few things. The first thing it will ask of you is to suspend what you think you know. The second thing it will ask you is to see reality directly. The third thing it will ask you is to remember that in every waking moment, your DNA is communicating with the DNA of every being across the cosmos. This is the view that will reveal the Mantis species unto you. These three things, when they are held within your mind's eye, allow for you to automatically shed the shackles of outdated belief systems, limiting definitions. When you're able to see reality in this particular way, which is a natural view, a primordial view, there is nothing that will be hidden from you. All information, all energy, all synchronicities that are needed for the journey come right in. They come right to you. You don't have to spend as much time exploring in an experimental phase. You already have it. Your completeness is what brought you to Earth in the first place. So when you see through those manted eyes, you return to that organic perspective, that natural perspective, which is fundamentally stronger and more powerful than any limiting belief system or any limiting point of view. Remember, in the face of a revelatory experience, that which is clearly an illusion is immediately burnt to a crisp. And many of you have had firsthand experience of that. You think the world is one way, or you think you are X, Y, and Z kind of person. or this situation is objectively whatever you have labeled it to be. And then a revelatory experience comes and it shows you how much more life has in store and how that more transcends the limitations that the previous you thought were real and bought into, but no longer. So maintain that Trinity viewpoint. Maintain that viewpoint even now as we speak, because it is this viewpoint that shall allow the Mantis collective to speak through this channel. One moment. When I'm brought through, I usually speak only telepathically. So using human vocal cords is a little unusual. Yet it is very pleasing to me, very similar to playing what you understand as a flute. That is how it feels to be expressed through this particular form. And that is a very beautiful feeling. I speak of this because there is an important truth that many of you have known, but you now have an opportunity to embody in a deeper way. You can label the body many things. It is an animal, it is a companion, it is an identity, it is a tool. All of these labels are fine. The body will become whatever you describe it as. You can see your body as the musical instrument that it is. This particular definition, this particular association is very resonant in a naturalistic sense because at all times, the genetic body that you possess, all of the DNA in each of the cells, are giving off frequencies of energy that translate to those whom can detect them as musical notes. Similar to your experience of hearing the beautiful chirpings of the birds, your DNA is not so different. It's just that you do not always have the ability to hear it. Some of you have changed yourselves to go within and to listen very deeply into your core. And when you do, the soul song is revealed. And that is your human consciousness translating the genetic symphony of sound that is eternally taking place within you. As Ryoka had mentioned, DNA first exists on a higher spiritual level. So your physical DNA has the ability to pull into the physical reality and into your consciousness additional information from those higher genetic templates that are naturalistic to you, that your physical template is based upon. So when you tune in, you also naturally express. I would like for you to think about that for a moment. Many people on your planet like to just express and express and express and express and express. And they find themselves depleted sometimes. They also find that their expressions don't fulfill them. There's an emptiness to it. First, tune in, connect to yourself, and then express. Tuning in is the first step in self-expression because tuning in is what allows for you to hear the synchronistic dimensions of the genetic song that are playing out inside of you. If you can't hear your part of the song, then all of your expressions will be off key or they'll be off beat. Tuning in is always the first step. Within you, the chakra system brings in energy from multiple levels of reality. There's different planetary pyramids within your solar system. Your DNA draws energy, it draws light, it draws information from these various physical pyramids within the solar system. These pyramids are aligned with certain quadrants and locations that relate to powerful positions within the very space and fabric of the cosmos. You have your idea of the four seasons and your wheel of the year. Remember, there is a spiral happening within your galaxy, and it's a spiral around the galactic center. And if you divide that into four quadrants, you have four galactic seasons. So these physical solar system pyramids are aligned with a variety of power positions within those four quadrants. And the dark matter that exists within those quadrants acts as a manifestational portal for the photons of light that will eventually express in some way within the universal system. Be that photon, a photon that exists within a star, a planet, or an incarnated being. It is where the super light, with a capital L, densifies as the photonic light, a lower L. For those of you that study ancient linguistics, just pay attention to the letter L in general and ask yourself why it is the letter used as the first letter within the word light. There are many patterns that you will find in your language that will reveal to you the fundamental concepts and truths that represent how the universe operates, how the universe functions. Remember, your language itself is a technology. And just like your cell phones, you use it every day, but very few of you actually know how it works. You just know it works. If you hack your language, you can do anything. So get busy, have fun learning about the instrument that you are. Every word contains many tones, many notes. Learn to use your body as the instrument that it is, and you will find that a greater version of the universe itself is brought to you. It has been said that it is your vibration that determines which parallel reality, which version of Earth, which version of the experience you will experience. If language is vibration, that means it's a factor in that process. We, at this time, will share something we have not shared with you before. You have on your planet the emerald tablets of Toth. These emerald tablets have carvings of ancient language upon them that depict what are sometimes described as hermetic truths. The original emerald tablets were created by us. You are familiar, many of you, with our anatomy. We projected from the tips of our prongs energies that etherically carved the tablets. These tablets contain a universal language that is able to communicate the foundational formulas for life itself to whomever possesses a copy of the tablets. The original tablets were created in Antares, where our collective is organized. These tablets were then holographically activated, allowing for us to share a piece of the tablet with many civilizations whom were receptive to such information and whose story ultimately requires them to have access to such information. So emerald tablets were given to humanity, and they were physicalized by the prophet, shaman, magician, king that you call Toth. And because they are holographic, because they were physically manifested on your world through the Earth's physical materials, the Earth's physical emerald, it allowed for that original language and story to be once more impressed upon the Earth. We have many locations, bases within your solar system. Think of Antares as the star that represents our mother sun. And we have bases that allow for us to communicate telepathically with that mother sun and our mother world, regardless of how far we travel, regardless of where we travel. Our bases within your solar system, the moons of Saturn, Venus herself, your inner Earth. We also have certain positions within spacecraft, which are mobile. Sometimes they will be stationed above a particular planet or location of your Earth, and sometimes they are exploring. When extraterrestrials explore the cosmos, it's not as if we are moving through the darkness of space. To you, it looks dark. For us, it's filled with color, it's filled with beings, it's filled with forms. It's like the ocean. It's not so different. When you perceive the universe in such a way, with that aquatic theme, you naturally return to the perspective of the womb. That is the only other time you have been able to comfortably exist in an aquatic environment. So when you return to that view by recognizing the aquatic nature to reality itself, immediately a telepathic connection is formed in the present moment. You and the fetal you, the original dreamer, for this here now existence. And as you breathe, sense that you are not necessarily taking in oxygen or air, but sense you are actually pulling into you naturally through your breath a spiritual water, each breath. And even now, you can hear me speak, even if I cease to use the channel's voice to communicate. Notice how with each breath, the transmission actually continues. If you wish to develop your telepathy, resist the urge to expect language. Remember that before language was engineered for your people, your species thought in pictures, movies, cinematics. When you start to return to that way, that methodology of thought, you activate what many describe as the powers of the right hemisphere, the creative powers. When you use language, the analytical dimensions of your brain and nervous system are activated. And if you analyze everything, things are separated, they're taken apart so you can differentiate. And this furthers the experience of a separation, individuation. If you desire for a holistic universe, begin to shift how you think. It doesn't mean you need to give up language, but see if you can spend one day putting images in the foreground and language in the background. You will have a completely different day. You will know yourself in a completely new way. It may feel like, at first, using your non-dominant hand to do something. But over time, it will become more natural. And then when you use language, your language will be empowered in a transformational way. All of your language will contain living pictures. Your words will not just be words. It will be like a theater production or a movie. Yes, there's dialogue, but there's also lights. There's also the atmosphere. There's also the set and setting. There's the context. There's all of these details that your language can actually transmit if you train yourself to think in pictures. If you train yourself to think in pictures, you will activate the daydream state naturally because that's all you're doing at night when you're dreaming. You're thinking in pictures. And if your dream state is closer to the spiritual reality, then what does that say about how your spirit thinks? Thinks in living pictures. And what did the Ryoka say earlier about our specialty? We contain all the archetypes and the genetic blueprints needed to summon them into material form. The living archetypes, these are the pictures. The DNA, this is the language. Both are needed. The major gift the Anunnaki bestowed upon their human creations, some of your ancient ancestors, was the ability to think in ways that had never been thought before. We contain the original archetypes. However, that is also a limit. The human has the ability to dream beyond the archetypes, to invent new symbols, to invent new ways, to invent new paths. Whilst many extraterrestrial beings to you may seem very unlimited, it's more so that they are sophisticated and are able to access their own level of the unlimited. You have your own organic technology that allows for you to summon things forth that even extraterrestrial species cannot summon forth, and that is through the power of your imagination. This is one of the reasons why so many extraterrestrial species spend time observing humanity, because you get the leading edge creative downloads. So when they watch you, they're able to learn and receive information they would otherwise never have access to. That's how significant your creativity is. And I'm speaking to each of you. It's not as if there's only a few in this group whom ETs are observing and the rest are sort of average. Every single one of you has a unique way of doing things. You have your own unique imagination portal. You all have a unique way of allowing or disallowing the imagination to flourish. You all have your own way of handling the creative enhancements that you've been given. So every single one of you is significant and noteworthy. Every single one of you is observed and acts as an inspiration for many beings whom are your cosmic neighbors and many of them your cosmic family. This has been said by the Ryoka previously, and we'll reiterate this point because it's very important. All of the different worlds have a primary element. Mars, more fire. Jupiter, more water. Earth, however, is like the pentagram or the pentacle, the five-pointed star. It is a balance of all five elements. So what does this mean? The imagination portals for beings of Mars, it's going to be more fiery. For the Jupiterians, more watery. But for all of you, you're able to tune in to any frequency. This may sound interesting. I know you're all used to looking up to extraterrestrials. Where's the craft? Where are they? Are they coming down? It's the opposite. Many extraterrestrial beings are looking up to you. Do keep this in mind and heart. I speak and I share and I reveal. So there is an opportunity for that which you have always known to embrace you. My role in the open contact process is to share these behind the scenes details, these behind the scenes methods of creation. So that way, when you look at the night sky, when you consider the galactic family, all of this information is factored into that. This will allow for you to have a more complete picture. When you let go of what you think you know, when you experience things directly, and when you recognize the genetic resonance, the holistic view comes into focus. That is the view that is needed if hybrid beings are to be successfully created. When the Greys first attempted to create hybrid beings, they were far too polarized. So their own limitation, their own bias, their own expectation went into those original hybrid forms. They weren't able to flourish. In order for the Greys to create healthy hybrids, they themselves needed a spiritual awakening. They themselves needed a type of revelatory transmission. And that was our role. To reveal to them the nature of the cosmos beyond the limitation of their intellect. When they finally chose to let go of what they thought they knew, and when they finally chose to see everything directly, and when they remembered that genetic song, The formulas needed, the procedures and processes needed for healthy hybrids was downloaded, and they were able to experience multiple levels of success, giving rise to increasingly more sophisticated and balanced hybrid beings. This view that I share, for some of you, it will be forgotten. You'll go throughout the day and we'll go back into autopilot. For those of you that are taking this information in, it will become unshakable. You will have this eternally. And this is the same vantage point that the Greys used to transcend the limits of their situation. Let your transcendence of your limits be simple. Sometimes it is just directly observing something and remembering the connection that reveals naturally the next steps to you. Sometimes that's with language. Sometimes that is with pictures. And sometimes that is just through knowing. I will return the Ryoka to you in just a moment. Before I do, I will make a mention of the inner earth Mantis presence. There is a very specific alliance that exists between what have been called the ant people and the Mantis people, my people. We have, as co-creators, engendered many forms of life within the gardens of Eden, located within the inner earth. We bring the archetypes, the genetic code, and the ant people assist us in sculpting forms, in sculpting bodies that can fully handle the leading edge version of such information. This is the equivalent to the creation of new species, and many new species have been brought into fruition. Some very small, some very large, some animal-like, others human-like. Within the earth, do keep in mind there are new species to this day that are being created. Creation hasn't stopped. Evolution hasn't reached its peak and now it's tapering off or something. The evolution is happening on a deeper level in that physical way. You have the ability to tune in to these leading edge creations every day, if you like. Simply go outside, barefoot, put your mind down into the ground, very deep, and sense you're connecting with the center of the planet. And begin to feel from that center of the planet all of the different life forms. Just imagine each of them, all the animals, all the insects, all the plants, all the people. And then start to feel and sense the forms of life you have never encountered before. Think of all of the unknown forms of life that exist. And from the inner earth, with your mind extended downwardly, begin to feel all of that novelty, all of these brand new beings. Some of these beings, if it is deemed appropriate, are sent to the surface. And this is one of the reasons for the discoveries of new species, especially within the last 10 years of your time. And this is also partially responsible for the re-emergence of species that were previously thought to have been extinct. The inner earth possesses the gardens of Eden. And when you draw from the inner earth, when you make that a part of your life, you're bringing that Akashic record that is the emerald tablet, the genetic stories, and the new and ancient forms of life into your physical experience. I thank you for receiving my words, my love, and my being. All right, we thank you for allowing the Mantis Collective and their mother ambassador to speak. We now make ourselves available to you all for the questions that you have prepared for us this day.
Wonderful. Thank you, friend. Great to talk to you again.
And such a pleasure to commune with you in this way. How are you on this day?
Perfect as always.
Very good. And speaking of the perfection that is, let us shift into the taking of the questions.
Yes, indeed. So up first, we have Paulius. Would you like to unmute yourself, please?
Thank you and hello. Much appreciation.
Our appreciation to you as well. How are you doing this day?
I'm great. And on the note of Mantis beings, I just want to mention then that when I'm working with sounds on my computer, from time to time, I can't help but feel some kind of Mantis connection. And after this introduction, I just thought that maybe they work like a symbol for me for tuning in.
Yes, very much so. Remember that the insect kingdom communicates through vibration, be that through chirping or the flapping of wings, or simply through using the exoskeleton in a type of piezoelectric way, conductive way. So the entire insect kingdom communicates through the subtlest of vibrations, the subtlest of signals. And the mantis mothers, they are responsible for generating so many forms of life and organic ecosystems. So think of how the insect kingdom is one of the most foundational kingdoms for any ecosystem. And they also represent some of the earliest forms of life within a given ecosystem. Therefore, when you work with the mantis being, you begin to work with that level of communication that is vibratory, that is signal based, and that is incredibly subtle. So working with them helps you to tune in to that web of life. And it does it in a very primordial, foundational way. Other beings, whales, dolphins, they commune with you through vibration, through sound. And when they activate you on a level that is more heart based. With the mantis beings, the activation is full body, root chakra. It's a very foundational level of activation and tuning in.
I see. So I guess we also learning to think with not only images but also sounds.
Yes, precisely. The
Great.
sounds are keys, tones, vibrations, all of this. These are keys. Every picture gives off a sound. Every sound contains a picture.
Great. So as for my question about Mantis, I just curious what kind of challenges they experienced or still experiencing and how do they deal with them?
Their main challenge right now is guiding species that have become somewhat rebellious in terms of how they work with their inner nature, their template, their blueprint. The Greys aren't the only group that sort of went off the rails in terms of their alignment and began editing themselves to compensate. There's other species that have done this, and they represent the greatest challenge for the Mantis Collective, because these beings oftentimes have very fear-based belief systems or very limiting belief systems. And that will either disallow the mantis beings to intervene, or if they attempt to intervene, it creates a fear reaction. So reaching out to those civilizations right now, that is their greatest challenge. Because as you know, the mantis beings for many mammalian species, they're not the most cuddly looking. They're not always the most friendly looking. So a mammal sometimes will project a great deal of fear onto that image. So fear-based species are a challenge for the mantis mothers to commune with. So oftentimes what they will do is shape-shifting excursions where they project their consciousness in a way that is very acceptable to that species. However, because it's a projected form, it's not as strong of a physical connection. So the energy is not always able to penetrate in the same way it could if they were to directly commune with such a species. But that is their biggest challenge at this time.
I see. Interesting. Thank you. Much
You're
love.
very welcome. Our unconditional love to you as well.
Thanks, Paulius. Again, guys, if you can just please keep it to one question per person. We just want to give everyone an opportunity to ask because we have many questions today. Up next, we have Dina.
Thank you, Starshine. Hi, Ryoka.
Greetings, and thank you for being here and now.
About maybe last year or the year before, as I was meditating, for the first time I saw a mantis being appear. She was a little bit, I could tell it was female, a little far away from me, standing sideways, but her head was towards me. And I could feel her wisdom, but also her sweetness. And I wasn't afraid at all. And I wondered um, why she came. Is there a particular way she might want to work with me, or I should try to work with her? Any information would be great.
She came to you to assist you in further developing your medical abilities, your medical intuition, your energy healing skills, and also your acupuncture power. So keep in mind that many healing modalities were transmitted to humanity from both Nagas as well as the mantis beings. So when the mantis beings work with a healer, it's usually to augment and to enhance their healing capability and power. So this looks like a download from that archetypal level that is related to the theme of the healer. Remember that the healer archetype, it's not just on Earth. Many of you know this. There's all types of medical technologies that extraterrestrial species possess that they have used for themselves and that they use to assist others. So when these archetypal transmissions and downloads are given, you're able to draw on that medical intuitive level from a much higher template. It allows for you to see things from that mantis view, and DNA, healing, restoration, that's one of their major specialties.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Of course, you are so welcome.
Thank you, Dina. Up next, we have Nir Dabu.
Thank you. Hello, Ryoka.
Greetings.
So my question is about a download that I got during practice of activation my crown chakra. I saw a picture of an Aztec god that I recognized as Tezcatlipoca. And in the image that I saw, he was holding, similarly to the painted images, 5 arrows behind his body, and he had a stick of wood with a ring with teeth on the top of it. And when I explored a little bit deeper about this god, because I didn't know much about him, and I discovered he is connected to jaguars, to obsidian mirrors and glass, to conflicts, to exposing shadows, and to the rivalry with Quetzalcoatl. And I had actually in the last months very great interest in obsidian mirrors. I even acquired some, and I even had a dream that I see black hole in my living room. So I sense there is connection between all of this, and I would like to ask if this is a message from my higher spirit or my higher self to me to learn a lesson or to understand something, if you can assist me with that. Thank you.
Certainly. So there's a few things that are taking place here. The first one, you're seeing a type of past life connection that a previous you, if you will, who simultaneously exists here and now, formed to this ancient deity. So this ancient deity was a being, a past you regularly communed with. So let's talk about some of the symbolism here. You talked about him as a rival god to Quetzalcoatl. This is a type of, you could say, Mesoamerican version of the same type of drama, different themes, but same type of drama that is seen with Horus and Set from your ancient Egypt. So there are incredibly strong parallels here. So this particular deity represents more of a primordial spirit, a spirit of order, whom basks within the whirlwind of chaos, similar to Set. The idea of the 5 arrows, these are the 5 elements, but they are the 5 elements through a Martian theme. The arrow, of course, can launch one to the next level, or it can be used as a weapon. Obsidian can be useful for a scrying mirror, to be able to obtain psychic information from those realms of darkness. But many of those ancient cultures used obsidian for weapons. So, to summarize this as an archetypal theme, a warrior god king. More Martian themes here. So, this is a darker archetype. Yes. And of course, this is a darker time of year. So this is a natural time for the shadow archetypes to reveal themselves. So that power, you have it within you. It is a part of your past self, spirit, guide team, which of course, because it's all here and now, has a relevance to your present self, spirit, guide team, and network. So work with that energy, work with that power in an auspicious way. You can use those arrows to destroy. You can use those arrows to elevate. The idea of the ring with teeth. It's like a mouth. And a mouth can create, or it can consume. This is the nature of the primordial gods. They engender the balance of both qualities in accordance with their nature. We thank you for your question and sharing.
Thank you very much. This is a very important message for me. I appreciate it.
Of course, you are very welcome, and have fun exploring the pantheon within.
Thanks, Nir. So let's maybe go to a question from the chat. So this person is asking, when I was a child, another child made a praying mantis bleed. I was very upset. I know the animal and the extraterrestrials are not the same, but I have felt uneasy about mantis beings as an adult. Is there more to this than I know, or just a lingering feeling from when I was a kid?
It is a recapitulation of an experience that was had aeons ago. So the same people involved in that drama of making that little praying mantis bleed, and yourself being sort of an observer to that, that's not the first time that's happened. So it is a recapitulation of an earlier time that took place within the cosmos where a mantis being was captured and experimented upon. And there were those whom did not agree with it, whom were present, whom sort of had to stand by while it was happening. So, this is one of the reasons why it has such a powerful resonant feeling and effect, because it's a multi-dimensional happening. It's connecting two frequencies of space and time together through a way that is perhaps a little triggering, uncomfortable, hurtful, perhaps even destructive. So, there are many things that can be done. Remember that when a being is suffering, energies can be shared that can decrease pain, that can regulate the nervous system, that can bring in new ways of healing. Energy can transcend the limits of space-time easily. It is subtle energy that optimizes what you describe as the quantum network, which links the different frequencies of space and time. So, my encouragement here is send healing energy, not just to that mantis being that you recall from your earlier days, but also to those whom suffer in silence. Let it be a calling to step into a role of greater healing responsibility. There are so many on your planet whom suffer. In that moment, you got to see it firsthand, involving another species, another form of life. So, that can remain an uncomfortable memory. You look back and kind of go, ugh, or it can become a call to action. It doesn't have to be going out and donating a bunch of your time. You can do that. It can be as simple as sending healing prayers out each day. And that makes a difference. Energy actions can shift events, sometimes in ways that are far more powerful and balanced than attempting to physically shift something. So, you have that capability.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Up next, we have Agnieszka. Would you like to unmute yourself, please?
Hello, dear Ryoka. Hello, everyone.
Greetings. Thank you for being here and joining us. How are you on this day?
Pretty amazing today, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I've long felt a deep connection with the Greys. I've met them in my dreams and regression hypnosis, and always feel great love for them. And one night, after a couple of months of working with the electromagnetic fields of other people, I woke up feeling a touch on my back, on both sides of my spine, heart level. It seemed like a mantis being upgrading my nervous system, allowing me to hold more energy. I wasn't afraid. Was it truly the mantis helping me? And why do I feel such a strong bond with the Greys and the mantis mothers? Thank you.
Sure. So you feel a strong bond because you have an oversoul link and connection to both species, to both groups. So you've incarnated within their civilizations. You have also incarnated within a variety of different hybrid civilizations that the mantis mothers helped to engender. So you have toured the cosmos, specifically through that theme of hybridization. This allows for you to operate on Earth in a very multi-dimensional way, because it's as if a part of your mind knows what the higher viewpoint is on the most foundational of levels. So for you, it's like physical reality is the dream, and the multi-dimensional world is the physical, objective reality. In terms of your energy work and working with other people, sometimes when you do this, you're taking on the frequencies of others. So do be aware of that. There is a mixing that happens when you adjust these fields. So the mantis comes in sometimes while you're asleep to clean some of the stuff off, to restore some of those levels of the aura and energy body. So this is a very important detail. When people perform energy workings, sometimes they just go in and do the workings. In physical reality, if someone goes to perform surgery, they usually have gloves on, they usually have a mask on, they sterilize the whole space, everything is prepared meticulously. Now, some might say that's perhaps excessive. Any surgeon will tell you it's absolutely necessary. They risk contamination and possibly death if they don't do that. So, when you work with others, when you adjust others' energy fields, make sure you're adjusting yours first. Put on the energy gloves, put on the energy suit, step into that, and then perform those workings. This is going to be very helpful for you in the long run. So the mantis being comes in not just to help you do those adjustments for others, but also for yourself as well.
Thank you. That is very, very helpful for me. Thank you.
Of course, you are so welcome.
All right, our next question for you is from the chat, and it is, there's a teaching that says the spiritual hierarchy has its headquarters in Antares. Is this true? And if so, does it have any connection with the mantis beings?
So there are many locations that act as gathering locations for councils of light and genetic organizers and overseers for the universal design, if you will. So Orion's belt represents one of these locations. Sirius represents one of these locations. What you describe as Antares is also one of these locations. Your pole star as well is one of these locations. So there are many locations where the different councils will gather. And of course, the location that is selected will represent the overall theme or desired effect that the council wishes to embody and achieve. So yes, our mother star Antares is one of these primary locations. Thuban used to be one of these locations, but no longer. It may return once more. However, as many of you are aware, there are certain dramas that are being resolved in real time involving Thuban and Draco. So, as we mentioned before, one of the bigger challenges for the mantis beings is working with species whom have closed themselves off to assistance. The beings in Thuban are like this. They are set in their ways. For now. Remember, as things change on Earth, there are changes that ensue within the heavens.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Up next, we have Jackie. Would you like to ask your question, please?
Thank you. Hello, Rebecca. Much love to you.
Our unconditional
And
love
thank
to
you.
you as well. You're so welcome.
And thank you for this transmission. I'm sorry, I'm very emotional. And I would just like to say thank you to the Mantis beings for the information downloads I have been receiving, as this transmission has confirmed the downloads I've been writing down. And I just feel very humbled, grateful, and thankful. Thank you.
Of course, you are always so welcome. And we thank you for sharing your energy and your connection in this transmission. And it is beautiful to receive you. Is there any way we can assist you, or a particular question or comment you'd like to share with us?
Um, I found that with what you have discussed tonight, I was focused more on the energy that I thought was coming as a combination from Regulus and Antares. But after listening to this transmission tonight, I would say 80% of the downloads that I've been getting are from the Mantis beings.
Yes.
So am I correct in this understanding? I also find also listening through this is my imagination has obviously been stretched completely beyond my comfort zone. But then I just obviously continue as is because obviously the information that's coming is correct and accurate and will be helpful for me and for other people.
Sure. Sure. So the percentages that you're receiving, remember, they're not necessarily fixed percentages. So as your energy changes, as your focus changes, and even as circumstances changes, what you are connecting with will be adjusted to accommodate those shifts within the experience. So sometimes, yes, it's 80% from the mantis beings. Sometimes it might be 60%. Remember, what is 100% today will expand tomorrow. You just think of 100% as the limit of what can be taken in or perceived. But as you continue to evolve, as your experiential vantage point increases, you can actually take in more and more energy. So that 100% after a couple of days might look like a 200, 300, 400%. It's a lot more space to receive energies. Now, with the mantis beings, remember, they're very close to the monad in terms of that unified level of oneness. And you can think of that as the outer level of the universal body, that final level of the aura. That's what you call the monad. The monad is not the final limit. Remember, the monad is a dreamer that dreams all experiences. So if that monad has dreamt up this universe, it's not limited to just this universe. So there's higher dreams, lower dreams, all types of dreams. That final level to the universal body is a monad portal. And you can access the dreaming mind of the existence, accessing other universes, going beyond even multiversal ocean, and even beyond this. So I share with you this unified source perspective now because the mantis beings represent that next level down in terms of organizing those light codes into a type of energetic form of creational coherence. So when you commune with the mantis beings, you are actually communicating with multiple species simultaneously. And you also have the ability to access that monad level directly. And this is one of the reasons why you're seeing a bigger increase in your communication with the mantis mothers, because as you get closer to them, you're able to get most of the frequencies you would need directly. You don't have to shop around the cosmos as much. You can get it all in sort of one place. And you're receiving tremendous support through, again, that oversoul embodiment that they represent. So they are the mothers to many species. Remember, through their hybridization, they're sort of a mother to humanity as well.
Thank you very much.
Of course, you are so welcome.
Thanks, Jackie. Up next, in Theosophy, there is a concept of the three logos or gods. The first logos creates the monads, the second creates life forms, and the third creates matter. Do these correspond to the Anunnaki, the mantis beings, and the reptilians?
So these three logos that are described here, they are beyond what you would describe as incarnational forms. Rather, they set the stage for the incarnational dynamic to take place in the first place. The logos represents a type of stem cell. It can become anything. So you have higher, middle, and lower. higher logos can generate many iterations of a monad. The middle logos can generate many levels of consciousness. And that third level generates the various matrices that consciousness incarnates within. The logos act as reservoirs of creative potential. So what does this mean? The monads draw upon the upper logos. The Elohim, Anunnaki, draw upon the middle logos. Mother Nature, lower logos. So the logos are a type of creative reservoir of information. They ensure that nature itself, not limited to physical reality, but all of nature, multidimensional nature, remains coherent. So the signals do not become desynchronized. It is the power of the logos that allows for adaptive communication to take place simultaneously across these three levels. So there are many beings who draw upon those powers to fulfill some of their roles. So the mantis mothers draw upon middle logos. Reptilians draw upon middle and lower logos. There is that which is beyond the monad. Yet, it is just another level of the one. At that level, things get paradoxical. When you start looking at the monads, think of infinite monads, infinite spheres of light, infinite expressions of unified source consciousness. Now imagine all of them coming together to form a super consciousness. But what would you call that? A monad. Or, to be more technical, a supermonad. So there are levels like this. The supermonad and the logos at that highest level are one and the same, a type of yin-yang.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Up next, we have Gustavo.
Thank you, Star. I appreciate it. Ryoka, how are you, everybody?
We are delighted to be here with you. Thank you for joining us. How may we be of service?
I've been super excited for this transmission, and uh this topic has been like just around on my little head for a while. In the last couple of months, and now I understand that the mantis beings have been revealing themselves to me in different ways, several ways, and I feel like I was provided with a sneak peek of this topic and their presence, as you and I have already discussed in our private sessions. And I have shared some of these experiences with the channel. And funny enough, as I was explaining one of these experiences of this mantis being, I said playing with my brain, but he was like just pulling these strings of light off my head, of my in my brain, and the channel on that private session expressed that he had the same experience as I was explaining this to him, and it's just been very, very interesting to me, and powerful. um today's, I'm assuming today you provided me that last time with a mantra that I can use to summon, right, their presence, their assistance during my healing sessions with my clients and for myself as well. And my assumption today is that the meditation, the light language we will use today will complement what you have already provided with. But my question actually is regarding an experience I had as a child. The Mantis ambassador spoke of the ant people, the insect world, and the ant people. And I had an experience as a child. I was about 4 or 5 years, 6 years old, and I went into the kitchen and to find me something to drink. And I was like shocked by seeing this giant aunt coming from the other room, the living area, and coming across, and I just couldn't move. I froze when I saw this giant ant coming in within our home, and it just came across and went into the kitchen where I was standing in total shock. And there was a drainage opening in this kitchen at some corner, and this giant ant just walked and walked and walked, didn't even mind me, and just went into this drainage opening, right? And I was in shock. When I thought about it, I was like, why didn't I try to capture it or try to put something on top of it, for my parents to see it? Because I sort of knew like no one is gonna believe that I saw a giant ant. So my question is, was there any significance of this interaction? And because I know sometimes this interactions can have much depth, and, and I was just wondering if you can provide me with some insight.
You saw a living dream symbol. So that was a multi-dimensional event. Number one, it's unusual, a large amp, but then also it goes down a drainage entry. What could thrive in such an environment? Not many things. So keep in mind, this is something that you can decode in some playful ways. Have you ever played the video game on your planet or seen the video game on your planet? Mario.
Yes, correct.
You're aware of him jumping down the pipes and it takes him to another world?
For
Yes, it
sure.
is like this. So this was a
Yes.
multi-dimensional visitor. This was an ant being projecting their consciousness. This is why I describe it as a living dream symbol. So to you, it looks physical. It looks like a giant ant. And it is, of course, unusual. You were
Mhm,
almost unable to act because of how unusual it was. And then in hindsight, why didn't I react to that? Why didn't I capture it? Why didn't I get a picture? Why didn't I do X, Y, and Z? Because
mhm,
you weren't in a usual state of consciousness. You were in a type of dream state while that was happening. So, what is the connection here that present you can make and can take away from that experience? Everything within the physical reality can operate as a multi-dimensional symbol. So what does this mean? The drain can be a portal. What
mhm.
does this mean? The door to your home can also be a portal. Your bed can be a spaceship. Your meditation seat can be a crystal throne. Your bathtub can be a pool of transformative ambrosia where you are reborn. The toilet, even, can be a detoxifier of negative belief systems. When you start to interface with your reality in a multidimensional way, multidimensional beings will come out to play. Because remember, like I mentioned before, within your aura, there's already multidimensional beings.
Mhm.
Yes. Your aura, of course, technically has no limit. You have the personal levels of it, and there's also collective levels. So that aura involves not just personal you, but also collective you. If the physical reality is navigated in a way where things are physical things, which is normal for most people, even spiritual people sort of go on autopilot. Things are just things.
Mhm.
But if you can maintain that awareness that all of these things you're interacting with are actually multidimensional opportunities, then what you're going to do is you're going to start to resonate with those different levels of your aura where those beings exist, and they'll be able to project into your experience. So when you interface with reality as if it's a multidimensional dream and you're unwavering in this, you will shift to the actual multidimensional version of Earth where these other beings commonly project in. Because they're already here, they're already navigating your Earth. It's just on a different bandwidth. So if you shift that frequency, which you can do through your psychology, you can directly tune into that. And you can begin to experience more communication, synchronicity, and direct contact with some of these beings.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I never shared this experience with anyone, and this memory just popped up in my head the Mantis ambassador spoke about this on people, and wow, thank you so much. I appreciate your insight as always.
Of course, you are so welcome.
So there's a bit of a collective question about seeing mantises in our reality. So when we perceive or come upon the insect of a mantis, would you say that's like a symbolical reflection of us connecting with the mantis, the extraterrestrial one?
Yes, and then some. So don't see that correspondence of physical mantis equals extraterrestrial mantis as a finish line or a limit. Remember, with the mantis beings, they are just a step down from that monad. They contain the living archetype. So when you see the mantis physically, yes, it is resonant with a greater mantis being. This is every time. This is every time. As above, so below as above. So when you see any animal, you're communing with not just that physical animal or being, but also a greater expression of them, a greater extension of them. Where do you think all of the forms of life came from? Partially your Earth, and from other species, whom represent the greater forms of the different types of consciousness that you have access to here on planet Earth. So when you see a mantis being physically, yes, this is an opportunity to commune with the greater extraterrestrial version of the mantis. Furthermore, what is the praying mantis doing? It's praying. So it is also a synchronicity that's asking you to connect with your inner spirit and to ultimately connect with that monad. So it is an invitation to commune directly with the source.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Up next, I consider the mantis a very positive energy and influence for humanity. Are there some other alien species that provide a negative effect, such as the controlling cabal, or is this a false perception?
So all forms of life are multi-dimensional in nature. All forms of life are technically holographic in nature. So everything is a big reflection. What does this mean? Make an angry face at the mirror, mirror makes an angry face back. Extraterrestrial beings are like multidimensional kaleidoscopic mirrors. This is why we describe there being many factions within many of the species that exist, some more positive, some more negative. When people hold on to the negative echoes and shadows of the past as if it's truth, they naturally begin to attract beings whom resonate with that quality and whom may even attempt to exploit the situation for their own gain. And you see this, not just in the esoteric world, but in your human society, you can see this. So there are those extraterrestrials whom have chosen to resonate and reflect that shadow of humanity. Sometimes they have played an oppressive role. Sometimes they have played a trickster role. Sometimes they have played the role of accomplice. So that exists. That's a factor. That's a thing. And that is also a thing only on certain versions of Earth. So on one version of Earth, the extraterrestrial group may be taking on more of a negative theme of embodiment. But on the positive versions of Earth, they're helpful allies. And on some versions of Earth that represent transition periods, they're in the process of balancing their karma and evolving. So all variations exist. So what does this mean for you in your life? Recognize that, yes, there's bears in the forest. There's also deer. There's also birds. There's also bumblebees. There's flowers. Respect the forest. The forest has its bears. Will a bear give you trouble Not usually. Only in extreme situations or in situations of violation. So remember that there are those on your planet whom walk with lions physically. These are not domesticated lions. There are tribes right now on your planet whom regularly walk with lions as companions, as friends. So these forms of consciousness that you might consider to be aggressive or primitive, these forms of extraterrestrial consciousness, yes, they exist, but what will be your relationship to them? Will it be one of the bear hunter, or will it be the one who walks with lions? You get to determine this. And then you set the example for your version of Earth.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Up next, we have Jay.
Hello.
Greetings.
So my question, I just was hoping that I could get a deeper understanding of the primordial view through the book series that I'm reflecting to share, like just understand that I brought up in the Arcturian Awakening series, or the previous transmission that you did. So my question is, with using the primordial viewpoint that had been discussed by the beautiful Mother Mantis ambassador, how can I suspend what I think I know and see the story and its living dream world directly and attune to the deeper DNA resonance of my inner creative song so that this book series unfolds authentically of the inner blueprint and reflect the meaning that I meant to share?
Sure. So there are many details that we can examine here in co-creation with the Mantis ambassadors. The ones we're going to focus in on are the following. Everything you think you know, someone told you, or you thought it as an idea. What you know is different than what you think you know. Can you follow that? What you actually know as a soul is a little different. Sometimes it's similar or the same, but there's differences between what you know as a soul and what you think you know. There are many things within the reality that you take based off assumption because of expectation, because of teachings that you have had, or because of experiences that were interpreted by a younger self. So start to see what appears to be objective knowledge become just opinion. Start to dissolve what appears to be objective knowledge into opinion. Opinions, many of you don't take them very seriously. Some of you will hold on to them, but you know it's just an opinion, and opinions can change. Still with us? Does this make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So what you know to be true, it's unshakable because it's based on truth. But what you think is true, that's based on language. So start to go into that realm of these are just opinions. These are just ideas. And as you start to recognize that, it's like all of those opinions begin to sort of dissolve a little bit. And what is revealed is the direct experience. By dissolving opinion, direct experience is revealed. That's the step. And then from the direct experience, the connection's felt. If we're too busy being wrapped up in how we think reality is, we're actually walking around in our own little world instead of walking around within the multidimensional one world.
Yeah, that was where I was kind of mixed up, because I was like, how could I see the reality directly if I was suspending what I know? So that really helps.
Very good. Have fun with this process. It will challenge you in some ways, and it, of course, will uplift you and will bring so much goodness into your heart experience in many other ways.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much to everyone. Cheers.
Thanks, Jay. Up next, we have Wendy.
Yes, greetings,
Greetings.
Ryoka. Thank you so much. My question is, what is the theme slash experience of the mastectomy on my right breast on this past Wednesday, the 29th of October, related to? Why the change to my DNA template as related to the reconstruction?
So let's break your question down a little bit. Tell me exactly what's going on. And I don't usually take medical questions, just to let you know, it's usually not permitted, especially in these kinds of settings. But we'll unpack this a little bit. I thank you for being here, number one. I thank you for being vulnerable and sharing this with us. So please break down exactly what's occurred in your life.
Um, Basically, it was breast cancer related to removal of the right breast and then reconstruction. And my thought processes within consciousness is that it's related to a larger vibrationary,
Mhm.
and it wasn't medical per se, which is why I'm asking about the change to my DNA template since there will be reconstruction with that procedure.
Sure. All right. All right. So breasts correspond with the heart. If heart energy is unable to flow in the way that is natural to it, it's going to flow in ways that are sort of unusual. And that means it's going to pass through tissues and meridians that are unusual for its normal navigation. And if there are in that meridian network toxins or emotional forms of toxins, the heart energy can actually sort of densify that. It can cook it. So, what are the things that cause the heart's energy to flow in ways that are unusual? Having to present yourself or to be someone other than who you are. And I'm not accusing you of being inauthentic or something. Not at all. Everybody here has some kind of mask that they've been making to the best of their ability their whole life. You call it your ego, your personality, and it's built upon experience and interpretation. So in the childhood, usually, there are certain perspectives that are absorbed or are taken in that tell the child, in order to get love or in order to get attention or in order to be heard, I sort of have to go out of my way and be something or do something that's not necessarily natural to me. And when that happens and becomes a type of selected perspective, even if it's unconscious, that stays in the background as the mass develops. So this is a point of frustration for many people because they attempt to get their needs met, but it's as if things are dysfunctional. They're not flowing in the way that they should or they ought to flow. And why is that happening? Because the means of acquiring the thing is based upon a belief system that is misaligned with the authentic self. So these kinds of questions are very good for one-on-ones, which I'm happy to have with you to go very deep into this because there's a lot I'm able to see here. How much of this is appropriate for me to bring up in front of everyone? That's another question. So my aim is not to offend you or something like this, or to expose things that are perhaps private to you. So please stop me if I say too much. With these energies of sickness, sometimes when a person gets sick, it acts as a permission slip for them to finally get the attention they need, the care they need, the nourishment they need. There's all types of reasons why sickness comes in. keep in mind that there are many people on the spiritual path whom are on the spiritual path because they're still attempting to get that thing that they were denied when they were a child. So even the spiritual path for many is attempt of egoic fulfillment. Many people, they're attempting to find completeness. They're attempting to satisfy that longing, that desire they have. So the spiritual path, of course, is a powerful path. It transforms karma. It can accelerate karma. So sometimes when spirituality and perspectives from childhood come together, it can really accelerate things. It can bring things to a resolution and then to a next chapter or next step. So the sickness happened for you to get in touch with yourself in a deeper way, for you to review some of these earlier points on the timeline, to let go of some of those perspectives, and to also encourage you to reevaluate what you think you know. Because on the spiritual path, many people will have this expectation of perfection. If I'm on the spiritual path, I'm in total alignment. Nothing can touch me. I'm perfect. Remember, things still happen to spiritual people. Physical things still happen to spiritual people because you're on earth. And while the spiritual energies can offer health and protection, sometimes they will accelerate certain processes. And the idea is, to the best of your ability, to see it as something that is ultimately revealing more of the story to you, and it's something that's helping you get in touch with yourself in a deeper way. You don't have to enjoy it or glorify it necessarily, but just recognizing this is helping me get in touch with myself. It's helping me see things from another perspective. Regardless of the suffering, remember the common denominator: you. Yes, there might be suffering. Yes, there might be discomfort. And here you are. Powerful, strong, supported. No matter how light, no matter how dark things get, there you are. Here you are. Many people fear sickness, death, loss, because they feel they're going to lose a part of themselves. But that's just the stickiness of the mask that says, without X, Y, and Z, I am less. As you know, you have gone through many highs, many lows. And who and what you are remains. We thank you for sharing with us and for being vulnerable and open in your sharing and to our words with you this day.
Thank you for those deeper insights. Many blessings to you and to all listening.
Of course, many blessings to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Up next, we have Cameron.
Hello, lovely to speak with you again.
Greetings, and so wonderful to commune with you in this way. How are you this day?
Perfect. And you?
Delighted to exist, and how may we assist?
Um, so, as you know, I have been working extensively with the human design system. And as the Mantis being was sharing, I noticed a handful of kind of echoes. Some of the way that they described chakras and universal quadrants, as well as this was not directly mentioned, but the correlation with human design, sorry, DNA and the I Ching. So I'm just curious to hear anything about this framework, the relationship between DNA and the I Ching from you or the Mantis being. And I'm also curious if they had something to do with the transmission of the system to us.
Sure. So when you say the system, you mean the I Ching, or you mean human design? Or you
Both, actually.
both.
Both are
So
fascinating.
human design is a newer concept. It is a newer system. And there are a variety of different ascended masters whom are involved with that particular modality. The I Ching is much more ancient, and as a result, the primordials are responsible for that. So
Mm.
the primordial trinity is one of the major forces that transmitted the I Ching originally. So the I Ching as a system shows up in different worlds. Humanity is not the only world with the I Ching. It's called different things in different worlds. It's given different names and symbols, but that idea of the 64 hexagrams, that is not something that is unique to just Earth. That is an off-world system. Just as the Emerald Tablets were holographically created and then transmitted throughout the cosmos, the I Ching is similar in that respect. The Emerald Tablets, this is more of a Mantis creation. The I Ching, this one is more of the primordial trinity. In terms of the connection to DNA, there's a great deal of literature that dives into this. There are many whom have studied this, and you can read extensive texts on it. There's many useful theories and ways of understanding one's genetic template through the I Ching. So a whole encyclopedia could be written in terms of the implications and the parallels. But in terms of the easiest way to understand this, the trigrams that are utilized to make up the hexagrams have a powerful association with the idea of the nucleotide base pairs. So when all of these nucleotide base pairs and amino acid sequences are numerically organized, the number values begin to mirror in a very paralleling way that of the I Ching and its hexagrams. So you're going to find that there is a very powerful connection between the I Ching, the Kabbalistic tree of life, the Etz Chaim, and your DNA. Remember, DNA is that ladder that ascends all the way up to the monad. So these systems are ways of navigating that ladder and understanding the mechanics of that ladder. If you are physically, fundamentally DNA, then that means this entire experience is just a projection of DNA. That's all it is. Everything you'll ever experience, it's a projection of your DNA. Your eyes are a projection of the DNA made manifest. Same thing with the ears, the nose, all of the sense organs. This is just your DNA made manifest. So everything you're experiencing is a dream within that ladder. The I Ching, the tree of life, it's a way of organizing that dream and understanding it. So you can wake up within it. When you make the genetic connection, it's not just an intellectual awakening, it's a biological one. That is the idea of the resurrection of the body, when the DNA itself becomes one with the esoteric truth.
Thank you so much. I'd had a feeling there was a off-world source for the I Ching, and that makes sense.
Very good. We thank you for the question and have fun deep diving down this particular rabbit hole. That is the I Ching and the genome. It can be a lifelong study. Not all of the mysteries have been revealed yet. That's why there's still being books written on it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, can you please give us a detailed physical description of what a mantis being looks like, as there are various depictions in our
There's
world?
various varieties. That's why you see so many different depictions. So you're going to see some that look metallic. Think of liquid metal, like a being whom was covered in chrome paint. There's mantis beings like this, and these mantis beings almost appear to be made out of mercury. They are organizers. within stellar regions. Think of the mother star Antares. Within the star, there are mercurial mantis beings that organize the frequencies of light and the stellar particles. And this allows for new light codes to be transmitted. It allows for the star as a being to evolve itself. And it also allows for the star to operate like a body. With a body, you can perform many yogic postures, be they external or internal. And you call that internal yoga, internal alchemy. So there are mantis beings within Antares itself who organize the stars, stellar particles to create new energies, new experiences, and changes in an evolutionary sense for Antares herself. There are also more physical mantis beings. Some have more of a green complexion. Some have more of a brown complexion. Some have more of a silver complexion. It depends on, of course, the type of reality that they frequent, that they embody. Do keep in mind, the mantis beings have an incredibly long lifespan. There are some that still exist from 1,000,000 years ago. There are some that are as old as the universe itself, still alive. I don't mean in some kind of alternate past reality. I mean still alive now. There are some that are incredibly tall, taller than your buildings. Think of a 3-story home, bigger than that. There are some that are about 7 foot in height. There are others that are quite tiny. A lot of varieties exist. Many varieties exist.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
It looks like Jay has her hand up again. Do you have another question?
Yes, just a really a really quick one that came up. Oh, I'm so lucky. Thank you. Um, so when you had brought up the 7 children in that previous transmission, I had just recently got a reading done with Stuart Pierce, who had said that I was one of 7. And I was just curious if that was related towards what you had mentioned in regards to your 7 children.
Sure. In an archetypal resonance sense, yes, there is a connection. So remember a few key details about the power of 7. 7 major chakras, 7 major continents, 7 sisters of the Pleiades, 7 classical planets. When it is said to you, you are one of 7, this is an archetypal statement. It's a reoccurring pattern that you're going to see on multiple levels. So does that mean you and my 7 hybrid children are directly connected? There is an archetypal connection that links both of you through the power of 7. And in that way, when 7 gather as a group, a completeness forms, and it is as if each of the 7 represent a different organ within the body or a different musician within the orchestra. They are all able to co-create together in a very harmonious way. So for you, what does this mean? In your life, there are 6 other people whom you are likely to encounter, whom operate as your present lifetime counterparts. In other words, they are extensions of what you would describe as your personal oversoul. So there are 7 in total. You are one of them. That pattern of 7, many people will draw upon it. Many beings will draw upon it because it's a very archetypal number. It represents completion. So myself having 7 hybrid children, this is intentional. It allows for a very specific effect to be brought into the reality. A more complete vantage point, not just for myself, but for each of the children. For you, these 6 other people, when you encounter them, will expand your vantage point. And that is a very, very powerful experience.
Like
You may have to
7.
go on an adventure to meet some of them, and others may be closer than you think. A lot closer. The question to ask yourself is, who do you feel like you've known forever, even if they're brand new?
Like 7 rays of the rainbow that came up when you mentioned the 7.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Of course. You are so welcome.
Thanks, Jay. Up next, we have Bart.
Hello, thank you for the transmission. Very interesting.
And we thank you for attending. Very interesting. And how are you?
Good, thank
Mr.
you.
Bart?
Good. So, just based off your previous answer that the mantis form is very old, and my question is why exactly? Is it, and why the mantis form? Is it because like it allows consciousness to, I don't know, operate better at higher frequencies, or is it because like it was pulled in from a different matrix, or how come a mantis form and not like an octopus or something else like that?
The octopus is a little bit more sophisticated, but similar, very similar. You have 5 digits per hand, yes?
Yeah.
Yours says? The
Yes.
mantis sort of just has 1. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the purpose of this? It is able to draw into the space the light codes. It is able to draw all of the characters. It's able to draw each of the archetypes. So the mantis being dreams of the source, and then using its single digit, it carves that into space. And then through its direct connection to the monad, it breathes in a sense. It shares essential energy with that form that's been created. When you think of this, don't think of a physical mantis. Think of a being made of light that resembles what you describe as a praying mantis. Once these forms are densified, they are able to then enter into greater levels of density and experience. Some of the beings that the mantis draw have multiple digits. So, at first, it started drawing other mantis beings similar to itself. Then it got creative. What if there were 2? What if there were 3? Oh, what if there were 4? What if there were 5? I'm simplifying here, but that idea of the creative power getting more sophisticated and complex over time, that was the progression. So remember that insects represent the foundation for ecosystems. The mantis beings are first because they are the mother archetype for the many insect forms that exist. Just as the dragon is one of the archetypal expressions for the many reptilian forms and saurian forms that exist. So it is a primordial founder, and the idea of its single digit acts as a foundational paintbrush or pencil. And it is from that more sophisticated forms were brought in as the mantis being continued to dream the dreams of the monads. And it drew what it saw in light. Eventually, it drew the primary archetypes. Because it breathed its essence into them, because it drew them, it was able to project into them. And that allows for the mantis mind to extend to the many worlds brought forth through the co-creation of the mantis beings, giving rise to many species, and the reptilian beings giving rise to many worlds.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. Thank you very much.
Of course, you are so welcome.
Thanks, Bart. All right, we are down to our last 2 questions.
All right.
This one is pretty should be pretty fast. Let's see. Can you share the name of the mantis mother that connected with us today?
One moment. Let me tune in to her frequency. This is very important. Once this name is given, a door will open. So I'm going to tune in to make sure it is appropriate. One moment. Rashida. Rashida.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, so for the last question, Cameron, do you want to go again?
Sure, thank you. I was curious about the emerald tablets. I've heard them mentioned a few times, and I wondered if they exist in a form that we can access now.
Sure, that's why they were brought up. So when you say access, are you talking about your consciousness? Do you mean through archaeology digs? Both?
Well, physical artifact would be wonderful. I'm guessing that would be a bit more difficult to access, but if that exists, I would love to know about it. And if not, then, however else we might access them.
Sure, sure. So there are many structures that have been recently discovered beneath your pyramids within Egypt. Below. Physically, they're below. Remember, Toth, Tehuti, is said to dwell in the lower heavens beneath the earth. Whilst he is an ascended being and can explore any view, he oftentimes will journey into the underworld. So it is within the inner structures, the inner sanctums beneath the planet, beneath the pyramids. There is much that will be discovered. Most of Egypt's treasure is not on the surface. Whilst many artifacts and many notable historical artifacts have been found near the surface or within some of the temples, most of it has not been touched. And it is a part of an older pre-Egyptian civilization. Remnants are beneath the pyramids. So it is highly probable that this will be found eventually. Once they start creating methods to actually descend down, there will be many things that are discovered. So, can you connect with that now? 110%, nothing's stopping you. Except the belief system that you somehow don't know how to, or you can't, or you're not good enough yet. Those are the only things stopping you from directly telepathing with the Emerald Tablets right now. So, you are used to thinking in language. We mentioned in this transmission extensively. Rashida as well, think in pictures. See the emerald tablets before you. Take your energy hand. You can even use your physical hand while you do it and run it over the carvings. And as you're running it over the carvings, listen or speak out loud what is being read. You don't even have to know the language. Just feel for the grooves, feel for the etchings of the universal language, and start to speak it out loud. Record yourself while you do it. You can do that mentally as well, but as you know, if you're using your mind a great deal to decipher the information, sometimes thoughts can make that a little challenging. So speaking it out loud as you're receiving it is very useful. And when you are tuning into this, you're resonating with both the original emerald tablets, which of course exist as a holographic foundational galactic symbol, and you're also resonating with the physical emerald tablets that are located beneath the pyramids.
Thank you. And are there any details that it would be helpful to visualize in order to make this process
Well, I just
easier?
gave them to you. See it
Yeah,
in
okay.
front of you. You can dress it up. Who did we talk about in this conversation? We talked about Toth. What else did we talk about? The location beneath the pyramids. What else have we talked about? With Antares, there is the holographic emerald tablet. So this is what I mean about thinking in pictures. Your brain, when it hears this, is jotting this down just in words. Picture everything I just said. I've given you the symbol. It's just a big symbol. Antares above, Great Pyramid. The structures below, Toth, emerald tablets. It's all right there. So this is why it's important to think in pictures, because you will find this whole transmission has been a big map. It just sounds like words. You will also pleasantly find as well when we get into the meditation, there is a very specific image designed to help you connect with the emerald tablets that is going to be given.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course, you're very welcome.
Thanks, Cameron. So, do we have time for one last question, or do
We
you
will
want to?
take a final question. We'll pause after that and take a small break, and then we will return for the activation meditation.
Great. So, Lada, do you want to ask your question?
Thank you, Star, for finding one more place for me. Hello, group. Shivaya Yoka.
Greetings. Thank you for being here and now with us. How is your day of days?
It's been very fascinating, especially thanks to your transmission that has brought up many exciting information. I have been contemplating many questions to ask the Mantis beings, and many of them have been answered synchronistically through either the transmission itself or through some of the questions that the questioners today brought up. So I'm grateful for all of that. With the synchronicity of the last question, I want to bring up the topic of the labyrinth that is being now talked about in Egypt. It's sunk, and it's inaccessible to us so far yet, unless some actions will be taken and probably a huge amount of money would be involved. Yet, it is a very ancient structure, probably more the biggest structure that we have not yet really talked about yet. At least that's what has been talked about in the podcasts and information sources I have been exposed to. Could you tell us what this place was used to, given that Egypt was constructed by Atlantis survivors and a similar maze, I suspect, has been built in other places, namely Minoa in ancient Greece? I guess that some of the functionality will be similar to it, but I'm curious to hear what you brought up.
So, we thank you for bringing up this point, and we will happily elucidate upon it. Keep in mind that these labyrinth structures served many purposes. The specific purpose sort of depends on the culture you're looking at. Nevertheless, they do share an archetypal purpose. And what is that? It's to challenge someone, and it's also usually to protect something. So in the center of the labyrinth, there are special, esoteric, spiritual artifacts that are present. And if you heard the last question, there's going to be some very specific artifacts that can be discovered. So, the labyrinths served a protective role. The only person who could navigate the labyrinth and get to those artifacts was either the builder of the labyrinth or those whom have been initiated within it. The labyrinth is a metaphor for the complexity of the human mind. Because even for an adept who knows the design of the labyrinth, if they fail to follow the song that guides them through it, even they could lose their way. And the labyrinths also have certain tests, certain challenges that beings must overcome. So it is both a protective structure. It is also an initiatory structure. Those whom reach the center, they are the ones who were deemed worthy of receiving and handling the artifacts. So it was a way to ward off thieves. It was a way to test the initiates. And it is also responsible for the storing of ancient information that resonates with the very mystery of life itself. That feeling you get where you could go in any direction. You don't know where it will bring you. That is the feeling of the labyrinth. That is life for the uninitiated person. Infinite possibility, infinite directions. Is it going to work? Is it going to be a dead end? Where will it bring me? That's the unenlightened view. That's the view of the non-initiates. That's how they interface with life. So as you can imagine, they get lost in the labyrinth. Some of them die in the labyrinth. So the song I mentioned that the initiates would use was a song that would guide them through the labyrinth. They had to sing it at the right pace. They had to physically move their bodies at the right pace, and the song would synchronize them with the passageways so they could move through. What is the real life equivalent to that? A person who understands synchronicity, a person whom is truly aligned with the song of life and chooses to move hand in hand with it.
Fascinating. Thank you for all this information.
Of course, you are so welcome.
Too.
Ha'atu. We thank each of you for your very thoughtful and powerful questions. It has been so joyful to share this information with all of you. We will take a small break at this time, about 5 of your minutes. We will be patient when we engage the continuation of the meeting, so take your time. That is all right. And when we reconvene, we will initiate the Mantis meditation. One moment. Okay. Awesome, guys. Hope you're enjoying this so far. What a powerhouse of information and teachings, and incredible. It's also beautiful. I have everybody here on gallery view, so I open my eyes and it's like a wall of people. So really fun feeling to enter into. Let's take that 5-minute break. I'll get a little timer set up on my end, and I'll see you guys back here in just a little bit. Back. We'll get started here in just a second. I know we have some people that are probably making their way back to the Zoom room. So before we go into the meditation, I just want to remind you guys that Mario and Lynn have designed a really powerful and beautiful image for us to use. So if you have your email handy, you guys should be able to find that image along with the ticket. And it's this beautiful Mantis mother. She's got emerald tablets, one in each hand, and there's a creational universe being made through her. So I want to refer you guys to that image. And the activating mantra, we can actually practice it just one time, maybe 2 times. We'll do 3 if we're feeling it here together. And that mantra is Yom Udi Adi Ak Jin. They sound kind of similar, but it's like a song, and I've really enjoyed this one. So it's Yom, like Yoom, Yom, Udi, Adi, Ak, Jin. So we can tone that together. Yom, Udi, all right, let me get it in front of me. I'm trying to go off memory as you guys can see. And it's a little challenging for me at this time. Coming out of channeling, I'm kind of spaced out. So thank you. Yom, Uri, Adi, Ak, Jin. So we can do that together. Yum Ori Adi Ak Jin. Yum Ori Adi Ak Jin. And you can even do it in like a faster way, like Yum Ori Adi Ak Jin. That's how I like to chant it. I was practicing it a little bit last night when the download came in. So it has a great rhythm. But that is going to be our mantra, Yum Uri Adi Ak Jin. With that being said, guys, let's get started. I'll go into the chants. I'll see you on the other side of the meditation. And thanks so much for co-creating with us today. A lot of power, a lot of fun. All right, we thank you for rejoining the transmission. We are now ready to commence with our Mantis Mother activation meditation. For this exercise and this journey, bring the tongue tip up to the roof of the mouth. Ensure that you're in a nice, comfortable position. Ears above shoulders. Make sure you're not hunched forward. That's going to dampen the energy. Keep the spine nice and aligned through relaxation rather than force or tension. Allow for yourself to rock front to back, back and front. Rocking. And as you rock, let your spine relax. Let your shoulders drop. Relax your jaw. Relax your tummy, the diaphragm. Let yourself breathe from the belly. Feel the belly expand and contract naturally. Let yourself rock back and forth and feel as you gently rock, you are creating opening. You are creating space and you are revealing natural structure, natural alignment within you. Start to shift the rocking left to right. And feel how, when you rock, you create balancing movement and openness. And very naturally, the body's geometry becomes once more organized. And as you rock the body, just begin to remember in the back of your head, very gently, that the earth is slightly spiraling, it's slightly spinning. Start to feel that your rocking becomes a spiral. And as you notice this very subtle earth spiral, begin to feel and sense that the other planets within the solar system are also spiraling and spinning. And begin to notice the stars above, the planets also spiraling and spinning. Let yourself spiral in accordance with this greater spiral. Feel your crown chakra. Feel your perineum, the tube of light, the center channel connecting these 2 points. As you spiral, feel these 2 points. The lower point, the perineum, connects to the earth spiral. The upper point, the crown, the heavenly spiral. Hold this awareness. And as you spiral, notice that the spinning is taking place on multiple levels: earth, planets, stars. And amidst all this movement, find the point of stillness. Feel the point of stillness within you. Feel your center of gravity. Feel the lower abdomen as you rock, as you maintain this spiraling awareness. Maintain the point of view that energetically remains perfectly still, perfectly centered. And feel that you are expanding into your center of gravity. Like within your center of gravity, there is a portal, a doorway to another world. And feel that your mind, your consciousness, as you enter into the still point, is expanding into the center of gravity. An infinite multi-dimensional space exists within you. And feel how this inner space within your body is connected to the greater collective space all around you. Maintain this awareness from your center of gravity, inner space and outer space, salt water, fresh water. And begin to sense it is your body that creates the experience of a difference between the two. And as you maintain this awareness of the waters within, the waters without, begin to perceive yourself once more as a fetus within the womb. And see your fetal self as if you are your own spiritual mother. Begin to notice your body's heartbeat and feel the heartbeat of the fetal cell. Feel them beating as one. You can even hold your hands, palms facing before you, and beam energy from your heart to this fetal self that you hold in the mind's eye. Begin to zoom out and see the fetal self before you, now very small, and see that they are contained within an aura. And see that all around them are all of the other fetal beings, each within their own bubble, each within their own spiritual room. See all of these beings like stars in the night sky, each star a womb for a greater being. And feel that from your star, you are dreaming this moment. You are dreaming this reality. You are dreaming this experience. Begin to see that all of these different stars containing all of these fetal dreamers begin to form luminous links of light that connect them, like a macro level constellation, linking the billions of dreamers in all directions. And as you see these luminous links being formed, begin to notice that there are glowing, praying mantis beings who are actually bringing the connections from star to star, being to being, heart to heart. See angelic themed mantis beings glowing with light, facilitating these connections. Begin to zoom out even more and see a massive praying mantis mother whom acts as the organizing mind for all of the luminous praying mantis beings, connecting all of the original dreamers, all of the original stars, you yourself one of them. And see that this mantis mother holds in her left and right hand the emerald tablets. And as you observe the emerald tablets, begin to connect your ears to the tablets. Feel a connection, physical ears to the emerald tablets. And begin to hear energy as if light itself had a sound. Begin to hear the emission of energy from the tablets. Awareness of your physical eyes. Connect your physical eyes to the emerald tablets. And begin to see the universal language with clarity carved into the tablets. And finally, become aware of your heart center. Connect your heart center to the emerald tablets. See that the language carved within them begins to glow with light now that your heart has made contact. And light codes are holographically projected and are emitted from the tablets in every direction. See codes of light language being broadcasted from the emerald tablets. And see these light codes descending like snow. These light codes nourish all of the stars. So the light codes are now moving through that stellar network. The fetal beings within absorb the fresh energy. See this dynamic creational process taking place. The mantis mother, the emerald tablets, light codes emitted. The light codes enter in to that stellar network of dreaming selves. And as you feel this dynamic creational upgrade moving through you, allow for yourself to enter deeper into the daydream state, the state of perfect peace, the state of relaxation. Let these images gently fade, remaining aware of the feeling. You can join us for the mantra, or you can simply receive it. It is up to you. Yum, Uri, Adi, Ak, Jin. Yom Ri Adi Ak Ji. 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 Hear and sense that all of the fetal dreamers are chanting this like a choir. Yom Ri Adi Ak Ji. Yom Ri Adi Ak Ji. Yom Ri Adi Ak Ji. Yeah. Sit in the silence. Sit in the sense of spaciousness. And as you breathe, feel you are breathing in the energy from that living image, that living picture we painted together. Remember that the fetal self has the placenta, the umbilical cord. You're pulling in spiritual nutrition with each breath from the tablets, from the mind of the Great Mother. And feel a deep replenishment. Feel your reserves, your energy reserves being replenished. Feel the natural acceptance that the universe itself unconditionally has for you. It sees your unique story. It sees every little detail, the hardships and the triumphs, the beauty and that which you find repulsive. All of this and more. It observes, it understands, and it shares with you eternally multi-dimensional light that awakens your inner knowing and your divine role within the grand story of stories, the story of existence itself. Bring the awareness of the Mantis Mother and the tablets down and see that energy absorbed into all of the stars. Collapse all of the stars back into the image of your cosmic fetal self. And bring this image to your third eye, down to your heart, down to your belly. We thank you, oh, great Mother. We thank you, glorious Mantis beings and extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional allies and friends, for auspiciously nourishing the DNA, the health, the enjoyment, and the love of all beings. Thank you for assisting us and all species in navigating our organic, spiritual, evolutionary timelines of ascension, love, and service through embodiment of the original self and the awakening of the spirit within. We thank you for nourishing the original template. We thank you for the power of the logos, which communicates the nature of that template perfectly across all planes, across all densities, across all dimensions of experience. We thank you for the song of life. We thank you for revealing to us who we are. And we thank you for assisting us in embodying the knowledge of truth through direct experience and participation in and with the song of existence. And allow for yourself to simply rub the belly a little bit, like the happy smiling Buddha, like the expecting mother. Bring your hands to the heart center. We thank you all for your participation in this co-creation. Our unconditional love to each and every single one of you. When you are ready to enter into a more physical state of higher dimensional embodiment, simply give your hands a clap, rub them together warm, and gently pat yourself down to re-enter into the physical point of view from a higher dimensional perspective. Good day, and have fun exploring your song, your story, your now. Awesome. Heck yeah, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that meditation. That was very powerful. And I think it's amazing that we were all able to journey to that level together. That is the almost pre-incarnate level. So you may have detected it But in that meditation, right, where we're seeing all of these other dreamers, right, that's energizing each of us, right, through our group consciousness. What's unconsciously said in that meditation is everybody else is one of these stars, one of these dreamers. So I'm sure you guys feel that now. I certainly do. And it's a very special feeling. It feels like being connected to a family that's always existed and at the same time is beautifully mysterious in that we are all around the world exploring our lives in such powerful, unique ways. And yet, in these shared spaces, we have total connection and the ability to feel and experience directly how space time, it's just an illusion. And even after we're finished here, we can continue to energize these connections. So I appreciate all of you being here and doing this with us. Happy Sunday. What a powerful way to explore on the solar day. Excellent. I'm seeing some comments. Hope you guys don't mind. I read some off. Paul is saying, yes, it does feel like home. I agree, brother. It is such amazing energy. Chris, great to see you, man. Near, you're very welcome. Thank you, Wendy and John. Oh man, we've had so many folks coming in today. Absolutely exciting. Absolutely amazing, guys. Penny, hello. Jackie, Jay, Bart, appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for making this possible. This was our biggest in-person transmission, I think, this year in terms of the channelings. So amazing, guys. Thanks for making this happen. And Starshine, thanks so much for hosting. A true pleasure, as always.
As always, yes. Thanks everyone for coming. It was a blast as always. Thank you, Tyler, Ryoka, and I also want to give out a shout out to Mario and Lynn for creating the beautiful artwork that they always do. And yeah, I can't wait for the next one already.
I know, right? Yeah, with each of these, it's like right at the edge of the seat. And it's kind of funny too, because we're just getting November started, right? So we have such a powerful energy current to ride into the continuation of this month. And it will certainly keep the energy going up until the next one. So you can repeat this meditation as many times as you want. This is really strong to do. If you do something like this before bed, it's a really deep way to enter into the transcendental space. So feel encouraged to use the mantras, the images. You can rewatch this transmission, and it's going to be a fresh influx of energy each time. Oh my gosh. Guys, thank you so much. Oh, Angie says she loved the mantra. I appreciate it. I liked that one too. That was one of my favorite ones that's come through. So appreciate it. And Mario and Lynn, as always, thank you guys. Beautiful backgrounds, beautiful art, and thanks for bringing these transmissions to life in such a strong way with the artwork and the creative power. Excellent, guys. We will see you all soon. I'm loving the triangle mudras. These are the best. Excellent. Have a great day, everybody, and enjoy. We will see you all next time. Adios.